16 reincarnation.
Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Bochum 2018, where we're now ready for round number 4. We're kind of in the schedule, what you kind of expect. It's 4 p.m. with 1,951 players showing up bright and early.
Yeah.
That is how you end up with round number 4 starting at around 4 o'clock. So let's see how it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's going to be a long day. But we guys are going to be here for you.
Yeah.
We're going to walk you through all of those plays. And for the next round, we picked 2 players. You picked Jordan Gallagher because he's from Scotland, and you, Luke wanted to feature somebody from the UK. That's the official reason, right?
Yeah, okay.
And his opponent is Stefan Friedo from Germany.
That was definitely not the reason.
That was definitely not the reason. What is the reason, Luke?
The reason is he's playing something interesting.
Oh, what is he playing?
Tom, what's he playing?
So we have here Invoked Mekk-Knight with the brilliant fusion engine to get some extra summons for those Alistairs.
Is it something interesting?
It's not a deck I've ever played or played against. So it's got some new cards, it's got some old cards. It looks interesting to me.
Okay, very diplomatic.
Yeah.
Ever the diplomat. All right, and his opponent, Stefan Friedo, is actually also playing something
more interesting, in fact.
Even more interesting, yeah.
He's playing Magical Musketeers.
So, who could have guessed?
And these 2 players are both undefeated at this point?
Seemingly, yes.
Table, what was it? It was pretty high up.
Yeah,
something below 200.
31.
31, okay, they are definitely undefeated.
So yeah, we see these 2 decks doing really well then.
Yeah.
I quite like here we've got triple mind control in the main deck for Jordan Gallagher. Newly unlimited card, really powerful. It feels like it's only going to get better.
Yeah, Matt and I were talking about mind control actually recently. With it now being at 3, it's actually a really reliable way to put something in a particular zone on your side of the field. Because when you take it, you get to put it wherever you want on your side of the field.
Right.
So especially for Mekk-Knights, it helps.
Is it in a way it's better than ever? In a way.
Yeah. Well, mind control has always been quite a flexible card, right back with in Shadol format. Even before that, when you could take your opponent's stuff and do stuff with it. But like now, it's got a very specifically good usage,
right?
Which is quite good.
What I think is quite an interesting question about mind control. I don't know if you'd be the person to ask with this ruling, but so most of the time when you take something with mind control, you're going to use it as a material.
Yeah.
You can use pretty much anything for a link material, so it's not going to go back. If on the off chance you come up a situation where the thing does get handed back with mind control, who chooses which zone it gets handed back to?
The controller gets to pick.
Okay, so the new controller always chooses.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Not always. I wouldn't say always, but yeah.
We don't like broad generalizations.
No, especially not this early in a new arc of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay.
But yeah, in this case, yeah.
So you guys learned just something new.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
The main event clock is already running down, so let's take you to the feature match table. All right, there you have Jordan on the left and Stefan on the right.
Yeah, so Jordan actually topped a recent YCS. I think it was London, could have been Prague.
I don't remember the name.
He did top a recent YCS.
I believe he was also the 2nd place duelist at the UK Open 2 just last month.
Oh, was he? Nice. However much I organised the UK Open 2, I wasn't actually there because I was currently on a business trip. So yeah, I have not actually been able to catch up on the live stream of that yet. I did watch you on the live stream, Tom, though. I watched a couple of videos.
All right, so we see an Effect Veiler, Mekk-Knight, Blue Sky Terraforming, 2 copies of Pot of Desires in Jordan Gallagher's opening hand.
Yeah, so Blue Sky is actually a really important one.
Yeah, we might want to bring that up for the guys. As soon as he plays that card, his opponent is like, what?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think Jordan's going to be confused first because Stefan's playing Magical Musketeers.
It's very interesting, this particular exact matchup, because we see 2 different decks that both rely on where cards are being placed onto the field.
Right.
And so, as individual strategies, they're not the most common, but seeing this as a matchup where both players are very aware of it, it could be interesting to see if either of them are fully aware of how to best play around their opponent, and even if that makes a difference to their own strategy, knowing that their opponent is cognizant of that they might need to play around it.
Yeah, and just I've played both of these decks. I've played Mekk-Knight and Magical Musketeers. It was a little while back now, but both of them are are really important for the columns, but I think that Magical Musketeers are going to be able to take this just because they trigger whenever an effect happens in the same column as them, whereas Jordan needs to put stuff in columns that are full anyway. So potentially the Magical Musketeers are going to be able to trigger more often than usual.
Right.
So it's, Mekk-Knights are usually better against a deck that doesn't use columns.
It's going to be a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Chess.
Yeah.
And it's all about the lanes.
Yeah, exactly. That's very much on the surface, though. I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out, but let's wait and see.
We've certainly seen a very passive opening from Stefan there. He's chosen to go first. Well, I don't know. Jordan may have won the die roll and opted to go second. I believe Mekk-Knights are much better when you're playing second.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But a very passive play, just summoning an Eater of Millions and passing, that doesn't feel like the way to go about winning this.
No, Stefan actually opened one of the 2 amazing card combos with Ties of Brethren. You just need that plus any Magical Musketeer monster, and you are really in business because you get 3 Magical Musketeers straight away.
But without a Magical Musketeer, it doesn't do anything.
Exactly. He's pretty much useless. Now, one of the best opening cards for Mekk-Knights is this Brilliant Fusion play, because it immediately starts filling up a bunch of columns that you're potentially then able to summon a Mekk-Knight into.
Yeah, it's really populating the board with things all over the place.
Yeah, as you can see, he is filling up a lot of different columns here.
Yeah, Jordan seems to be like... he's been in that situation before. He's playtested that a couple of times.
Yeah. Almost certainly, he has placed those 3 cards in those exact same 3 positions every time he does this.
Will we see Alistair coming down here just next to the Magical Meltdown?
I think maybe in the middle. Yeah, I was going to say in the middle.
That's
no, that's Blue
Mekk-Knight.
Knight. Okay, maybe not.
So the Mekk-Knight has to be played into a column that already has at least 2 cards, and then it searches for a number of Mekk-Knights equal to the number of opponents' cards in that column.
Yep.
So here he's taking the Purple Nightfall.
Yeah.
And this Purple Nightfall is a little bit like a wind-up rabbit. It blinks himself off the board and gets searches when he does so.
Yeah, it's actually it is a very strong version of wind-up rabbit for this particular archetype. He just runs off the field for temporarily and searches at the same time.
So you don't even need the wind-up factory to be getting the advantage as you...
He's kind of two cards in one as far as that's concerned.
And he's got a bit more attack than a wind-up rabbit as well. He'll make his presence known.
Yeah, whereas
a little bit.
Wind-up rabbit is not so strong.
With his 2,500 attack.
So I actually have a Yu-Gi-Oh! Cube draft, and I include both the Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall and the Mekk-Knight Blue Sky in my cube as 2 cards that you can summon like Cyber Dragons for big attack points. And if you're able to draft both, then you have some cool combos where they can get each other.
Right. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's the Mekk-Knights are a really good kind of, closed-up engine.
This is a pretty big board we're seeing here.
Yeah, Mekk-Knights can produce a lot, especially when they open that Brilliant Fusion.
Yeah, and Stefan is just watching this and not liking what he sees.
Is this already the end for Stefan in this first duel? We're likely to see an Invoked Mekk-Knight coming down here. They'll be able to negate the effect of Eater of Millions, and then there's going to be enough attack on this board just to finish the game immediately.
Yeah, Indigo Eclipse as well was able to be used, so he can, as you saw, he put that down and then moved it straight out of the zone.
I could have added this up wrong, but I think this is game already.
No, it looks pretty good to me.
It looks game over-y.
Yeah, very much. That was a great use of the English language, Ollie. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You like those. You like those.
I'm sure my English teacher would agree.
Yeah.
He would be like, okay, if I can, I would like to change some of your grades that you had. I would say it's a very authentic use of English.
Yeah. I thought you liked those where you verbalize things.
Yeah, it's 100% jealousy, to be honest, because we don't have that in German.
Yeah, this looks like it's enough damage here.
They're writing down the numbers, but all I see is 4 monsters, each with more than 2,000 attack.
Yeah. If my math is to be believed.
Stefan just kind of
it's not a close one here.
No. But I guess, what does Jordan even possibly side deck here?
I think this is the first time I've seen a 0. on life points for anybody ever, because usually it just gets shuffled up and we reset it to 8,000. This is the first time where a player insisted, I want to be down to 0.
Yeah, don't show the cards. Don't show the cards. Please don't show the cards. He looked like he was about to
The
throw
only
his hand on the
advantage
field.
that Stefan has at this point is that he hasn't revealed what deck he's playing.
Yeah.
So Jordan might be expecting something like Trickstar with a main deck Teeter of Millions, perhaps just a really bricked Trickstar hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even a Grand Mayu. Although you usually don't use your Eater of Millions as a defensive measure in that particular deck. All right, so it's on to side decking for these two guys. We see almost the popular strategy by Jordan of playing only 5 different cards in his side deck. He's playing 6 different cards in his side deck because he's only got 2 copies of Twin Twister. That makes sense with the name. And 1 Heavy Metal Foes Electrum, and then the rest of his cards are all 3-offs.
Yes, the 1 Heavy Metal Foes Electromite is to go with his 3 Ghost Reapers, so it's essentially as many copies as he can play of 5 cards, but he had to play a set of 4 to get the 3 Reapers and the Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, not wanting to give up any space in his extra deck.
Right. On the other side, we got Stefan, who has the element of surprise still working in his favor. He's got he's got a very creative side deck with a lot of different cards. He's got 2 copies of Denko Sekka, Macrocosm, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, 2 copies of that, 2 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance, 2 copies of what's the name? I think that is evenly matched, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's evenly matched. Then we have Moon Mirror Shield.
I know that in the European languages that like Rivalry of Warlords, Goes and Match, and Evenly Matched have got very similar names. So it could be those.
No, I think we Evenly Matched, we went with a more creative name, and I think this is it. It's basically it says it's an even duel. So that sounds. I mean, it's the card, but it sounds a bit different.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 copy of Mask of Restrict, 1 Imperial Iron Wall. Literally, this translates to skip once.
Lose 1 turn.
Lose 1 turn, yeah. I was thinking if it's the other card that gives you an extra card. And no, then we have Chaos Hunter and Hanewata. Hanewata is easy to translate.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
So very creative side deck.
Yeah, we see Stefan here taking the approach of 1s and 2s of everything instead of 5 3-ops.
But what is really good against the Mekk-Knight deck? I mean, he has seen his opponent's deck. So
the Macrocosmos is very effective against the Invoked side, but I don't think it does anything to Mekk-Knights.
No, not really.
Ghost Reaper again, very good against Invoked. Nothing for Mekk-Knights. Anti-Spell Fragrance. We're seeing a pattern here. Very good against Invoked. Does nothing against Mekk-Knights.
Yeah, Mekk-Knights are just a huge bunch of big-bodied cyber dragons. Like that's essentially what that deck is.
Yeah, very interesting.
Imagine if Cyber Dragon was like 2,500 and had an effect. That's what all the Mekk-Knights are.
Wasn't Moon Mirror Shield the card that says, I draw you, I win the sneak preview?
Yes.
That was the card that said, whenever I attack.
You win every battle by 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
card was extremely frustrating to play against.
Yeah, and it did see some competitive play.
Yeah, I've seen it before. Yeah,
when was that?
We saw it either in Prague. I think it was in Prague. I've seen somebody cited it or something, and he used it.
Yeah.
It's still a very real card right now with Inspector Border stun decks with Fossil Diners, Inspector Borders.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we saw it on before. I'm trying to remember exactly what format we saw. It was in one of the meta decks though, not like it wasn't randomly seen. But it was only for one event. I'm trying to remember what it was now.
It was a card that had the effect you win the sneak preview. That's how I remember it for all eternity.
Yeah. It's just a big orange. The picture just looks like a big orange.
There's a very similar equip spell, I think, from the latest set, maybe Power of the Guardians. The accrues spell counters for every battle that the equip monster does. Boosts 500 attack points for each spell counter.
That sounds
the equip monster can't be destroyed. It's very much reminiscent of
here we see a Pot of Desires, just quickly checking what we see in there. Terraforming, 2 copies of that.
All 3 Brilliant Fusions gone.
Oof. So no longer the perfect start for Jordan.
No, that's rough.
Well, Brilliant Fusion is a useful engine, but it's certainly not the backbone of the deck here, so he should be able to survive fine without it.
No, it's a huge advantage when you're able to do it, but when you're going second.
Oh, and he passed turn.
Yeah.
Pass play. So it's up to Steffen, who this time has some magical musketeers. He just doesn't have the combo card with it, with them.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
He also-
any cards that he can activate in his spell and trap card zones right now.
Yeah, this is another big thing that the magical musketeers, they're only good if you have a good balance of the magical musketeers and then spells and traps. Not necessarily their spells and traps, not the on-theme ones, just spells and traps you can actually activate their effects with.
It feels a bit like a Cosmo syndrome, where you need to have the ships and the pilots.
Ships. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I don't want to say exactly the same. That's not true, but it's very similar in the way that you need to have a good balance. If you could use duelist skills from Duel Links, the balance skill would be perfect for this deck.
All right, so Kaspar is hitting play, 1,200 attack. It's going to be some damage, probably.
And this is
That's
the
what we
guy
can
that
add.
searches the deck for magical muskets.
Yeah.
If a spell or trap is activated in its column. And I think Steffen doesn't even have a spell or trap in the same column.
Yeah, this is the trouble. It would have actually been better if Jordan's turn was a bit better, so then at the very least Stefan could Regeki. Yeah. So the difficulty here is that Jordan is going to have to read every single one of the magical musketeer cards because they're likely in German.
With the translation on it, yeah. Very likely that they are in German, to be honest.
Yeah.
Given that his entire deck list is German.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of the magical musketeer cards, they allow cards to be activated from hand in either player's turn. Just magical musketeer.
Yeah, only the magical musketeer spells and traps. I don't know.
The magical musket spell and traps.
Yeah, magical muskets.
But we see here none of those in hand. Of course, Jordan doesn't know that, but
yeah,
kind of unlikely that he says, "Yeah, I'm not going to attack. I just hope you don't have it."
It is kind of scary though playing this. Me and Matt used to play the mirror match of this, which is ridiculous, by the way. You know,
I heard. Yeah, he described it one time, and he was like, "It's a bit weird. It's really weird."
Because you take columns until you can't anymore, and then it's kind of the first person who needs to take a column that his opponent is in already. And then, yeah, you start doing very weird things where you try and make your opponent activate their stuff in your columns.
So we see here that the evenly matched was set off from behind the magical musketeer.
Yep.
Try and play around the Mekk-Knights rather than activate his own musketeer.
Yeah.
But Gamasiel swings in to rewrite where things were placed.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, this is where the controller choosing exactly where it goes isn't always true. So this is one of those cases where the summoner is getting to pick.
Right. But we were talking about switching control.
Yeah, switching control. That's what I'm saying. It's
It's very hard to come up with a one-size-fits-all rule.
Yeah. Yep. We're actually seeing the brand new card from Legendary Duelist Ancient Millennium here, the 1,000 Dies Millenniumized Restrict. We were just doing a feature on the giant cards, actually. This is a giant card for this weekend.
Oh.
This was something we missed out on our meta discussion. There is a difference between Atlanta and here. So Millenniumized Restrict is very much a one-stop shop for getting rid of hand traps. At least just one per turn.
At least
so
just one?
You can instant fusion the Millenniumized Restrict, and then suddenly your opponent will have one of their hand traps negated.
Okay.
Its effect, you can read its effect to explain a bit more.
Once per turn, when an opponent activates a monster effect, so basically this is when he drops the hand trap.
Yeah.
You can target one effect monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard. So it's good against those hand traps because they end up in the graveyard after you activate the effect.
Yeah, exactly.
And you equip that target to this card you control. It then gains attack def. I mean, we've seen that before. That's a 1,000 Eyes part. Monsters with that equipped, monster's name cannot attack. I think this is almost never relevant. And also the effects on the field and the activated effects are negated. So it's
that's the key. It's a big effect. It actually does a small amount of stuff.
Right.
So when they play a hand trap, that you can just take it out of their graveyard and suddenly its effects being negated. So this is really great as a opening instant fusion target, especially because later down the line you can just then turn this into a link monster.
Yeah,
right.
The only real cost there is that it does briefly use up your extra monster zone.
Yeah, but in a deck like Mekk-Knights, that's completely fine.
Yeah, it's just helping him fill up his board to be able to summon out those Mekk-Knights.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to see...
Oh, there's the mind control.
Yeah, we're going to see this mind control right now. This is a crazy opener for Jordan. And there's no, like, not that there is any hand traps, but there's nothing that you could do anyway if there were.
So the Gameciel, of course, won't be able to attack this turn, can't be tributed, but he can still use it as a link material alongside that Millennium Eyes.
Yeah, so you can turn those into something more useful than a, you know.
Did he need the protection from a hand trap until that point?
No, but just the fact that he had that is cool.
Okay. I think the Underclock Taker swings in here for 7,900 damage total.
Yeah, I think so. Let's have a look at Underclock Taker here.
It's 1,000 attack points, and it has an effect to reduce the attack of monsters on the opponent's side of the field, so that's not going to do anything. But it appears that if I know the correct attack points, which I may well not, that this is just shy of enough damage to finish the game, and then we'll see the evenly matched coming up at the end of the battle phase.
Yeah. Likely to see some kind of exceed play for Jordan, though.
Not if he gets evenly matched before he gets to his main phase
matched,
2.
Yeah, the evenly matched is set. Sorry, I keep going in my head that evenly matched is in the hand, just like Ollie is. Ollie is nodding right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's the same.
Yeah, we see Stefan here dropping to exactly 100 life points.
Wow, that's close.
Did he have something else in his extra deck that would have had like 1,100 attack?
Not as a Link 2.
No.
I don't believe he plays the Proxy Dragon.
Doesn't Underclock? Yeah, I need to remember Underclock's effect.
Yeah, he's playing the Underclock instead of, not as well as Proxy Dragon.
Yeah, I think Underclock Taker is just a way better version of Proxy Dragon in most scenarios now.
Not here.
Yeah, not in this one.
So I think that was the effect of Purple Nightfall being used in response to evenly matched to blink one of the other Mekk-Knights off the board and get a search. So there's still huge pressure.
Right.
Yeah, because Purple Nightfall's going to come back next turn.
No, the Purple Nightfall was the one that was chosen to stay. He used the effect banishing a different Mekk-Knight. The Indigo Eclipse, I think it was?
Yeah, I can see it face up there, yeah, Indigo Eclipse.
Oof. So Stefan, like, really with his back against the wall. I don't think we've anything like that. We haven't seen it this weekend.
Yeah, let's take a look at Stefan's hand here. There's not much. There's not actually much here that's going to do much, in all honesty.
Again, he's got the he doesn't have the magical musketeers, but he doesn't
now got the Ties of Brethren, though. That's the combo. But unfortunately, he's not going to be able to pay for it. He's only got 100 life points left, and Ties of Brethren
costs
needs
2,000
more than that. Yeah, 2,000 life points.
Tiny bit more, yeah. Oof. He needs 2 copies of Dian Keto.
That would
so
be
he
good.
would be able to normal summon a magical musketeer, activate his Raigeki, or possibly even Kaiju first.
Yeah.
To prevent further use of Purple Nightfall.
That's what he does. Oh my, this is going to be interesting.
It's not looking good for Stefan.
Yeah, so far he has 0 protection. Even if he like turns this around in this turn, that's fine. He's got the upper hand for the time being, but he's got completely naked there with no defense, no trap cards.
No. And 100 life points is definitely in that realm of just being attacked over literally anything.
He will be able to search here with, is that Casper? Oh, no, shut down immediately.
Yeah, Ash is not going to allow that to happen at all.
That's game over.
Yeah, it must be.
He has nothing.
Wow, Mekk-Knights really showing what they can do here.
Yeah, so far, Jordan Gallagher undefeated, 4-0. If he somehow wins this match now.
Yeah.
What does he need? He needs a monster with 1,400 attack.
He already has a monster with 2,400 returning in his standby phase.
Yeah, is Indigo.
Ah, he's spoiling the party, Thomas.
Make it a little bit more exciting. Pretend you forgot and then be excited about it when it happens.
All
well,
right.
I'm not supposed to be forgetting these things.
Oh, okay, fine.
All right, so Jordan Gallagher goes undefeated with his Invoked Mekk-Knight.
He's just rubbing some salt into the wound here.
Yeah, just in case.
It's going to be interesting to hear from him why he went with this deck, but so far it's serving him extremely well.
I think we're seeing quite clearly why he's gone for this deck.
It's great.
Yeah, but not when he's playing against Magical Musketeer.
Yeah. Our tech team just yelled "cowboy for win," but I don't think that's valid strategy right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. There was a time when this was like the very best of options.
Yeah, Cowboy was. I think that the hat format where that was a big possibility quite a lot of the time was pretty cool. I like Jordan's sleeves. He's got some sleeves that make all of his cards look shatterfoil, which is really cool. I don't know if you noticed that as well. I noticed.
That is the attack, and that is the win for Jordan Gallagher. Whew. With that, guys, let's talk about this some more in our post-match analysis. This was the most straightforward feature match we've had this weekend. In just 22 minutes, Jordan Gallagher clean sweep 2-0 over Steffen Friedl. Interestingly enough, both of these guys were undefeated going into this round. Now it's only Jordan who was playing Mekk-Knight Invoked, and his opponent Steffen was playing Magical Musketeers. Although we have to say, both games he had pretty rough opening hands.
Yeah.
There was like almost nowhere to go for him.
Yeah.
So not what he really was looking for here.
Yeah. Honestly, Matt and I found the same about this deck, that you've got to have that balance that I was talking about, and if you don't get that balance of monsters and their spells and traps, then you just don't really get too far.
First you have to build the deck in that way, and then you have to draw them.
Yeah.
That's
You can, I mean, if you look at his deck list here, you can see that it's, he's got a reasonable ratio of cards. So, yeah.
Yeah, didn't work for him here, but well, it was interesting to see the Mekk-Knight Invoke deck. It showed us what it can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I said just a few hours ago, I'd love to see Mekk-Knights, and then we managed to find one. And
right.
Yeah,
Who
really.
was also from the UK.
Bias casting.
So, Thomas, what do you make of this deck? What's there something that you need to... Would you change anything about this?
I really like the deck. I'm very excited to see a deck that puts out so many high attack monsters without clogging up extra monster zones. So, as we see, the Mekk-Knights just go straight into the main monster zones. You still have access to Invoked Mekk-Knight sitting in that extra monster zone. He's playing just 41 cards, and in that he's found space for 9 hand traps. So protection, it's set up very well to play second. It has protection from FDKs. I really like this deck. I'm interested to hear what he has to say about it.
Yeah. Do you know what this deck really feels like to me when I was playing it? It feels like Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes was able to really just dump some big attack monsters and have a bit of utility as well.
Yeah.
Feels quite similar.
It seems a bit more good in the utility department.
Yeah, oh no, definitely. No, I'm not saying it's exactly the same. Just that
feeling
you get when big monsters. But you are right. The utility of this deck is way more than Blue Eyes ever had.
I don't see any tribute summoned vanillas in this list, so
yeah,
this
exactly.
takes it for me.
Yeah, that's what makes it even better. Yeah.
All right, guys. There's not much analysis going on here because those were two pretty straightforward games. So let's hear it from the man himself. Let's bring in Jordan Gallagher. We're going to be right back with our interview with the winner.